There are things you need to do in life. You need to eat, you need to drink, you need to sleep, you need to piss, and you need to shit. There are things you don't have to do in life. You don't have to get a particular job, you don't have to have kids, you don't have to go to university, and you don't have to grow up. I remember when I was a kid and I first saw the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom on TV and thought, wow, this guy's got it figured out, he must be smart. And slowly over the course of the next couple of decades, I began to realise that he, like everyone else, did not have their shit figured out in the slightest. Whether it's the Prime Minister, your parents, or your school teachers, there's this careful illusion that gets built around you when you're a child and only slowly gets unravelled as you become more and more like the creators of the facade. It was all a big scam. All of these people had grown up, put on a mask, and were trying to convince me to do the same.
Do you think children in general are happier than adults?
In general, that's an interesting question. I think before the burdens of the world come upon your shoulders, as they do when you become adult, it definitely is more carefree.
Is there anything you miss about being a child?
Yeah, there's some things.
Yeah.
Well, I would say you don't think too much about what's going on next and just live day to day, really.
Growing up is overrated. And when I say that, I'm talking about the idea that there are a few inalienable things that children have to accept about the world in order to be part of the crew of people we call grown-ups. We have to accept that we exist only to work. We have to accept that our value comes in the material goods that we own. And we have to accept that we can't change the world around us and that we are, for the most part, powerless. But what if we didn't? See, I found out about this thing called Peter Pan syndrome recently. It describes people with the mind of an adult and the body of a child, men who've effectively refused to grow up. And when I first heard about this, I thought, wow, these guys are spitting, this is totally me. And then I found out that Michael Jackson was listed as an example, and I thought, maybe not. But I still think there's value to this idea, so let me explain. I think an astounding amount of adults are jealous of children. They basically have all of the traits that the world has beaten out of us by the time we make it to adulthood. We so often act like this anxiety that we all feel as adults is inevitable, how it's meant to be, but I don't agree with that. I think it's learned.
Is there any way do you think that we could rekindle that childhood kind of innocence?
I would say stick to what you really like, the people you really like, the things you really like, stick to that. Don't doubt too much about it.
Take advantage of now, because now is all there is.
Yeah, do what you love. Most adults don't like their job, so quit whatever it is you're doing that you don't like and get a job trying to do something that you do like. There's an old saying, if you get a job that you love, you'll never do another day's work.
Kids embody the idea of being happy with what you have, the very same sentiment that's destroyed by the act of growing up. Being happy with what you have turns into the consumerist dream of always wanting more and keeping up with the Joneses. And once you're on that path, there's no turning back. We sell our children a dream, the idea that those in authority are somehow smarter or have things more figured out than we do. And by the time we realise that that might not be the case, we're usually too far gone to turn back. To me, so much of what we call growing up is just an exercise in losing faith in your own mind and deciding that you can't ever truly be happy again, like you were as a kid. How about we flip the script and hold on to as much of that childhood innocence as possible? That makes a bit more sense to me. What do you think?